Wednesday night, Janine's night, everyone's favorite time. How are things where you are, Janine? What's happening over in your world?
Well, let's just say I'm not going out anywhere, and it feels like I'm on lockdown because there's nothing to do really. Like unless you're going shopping really and spending your money, uh, people without certain things that everybody knows I wouldn't have. Okay, we can't really go to restaurants, bars, any kind of outing. So yeah, it's really silly here still with that. And there aren't a lot of people see, like I think we hit a sort of a level of awake people, and it's not really growing here. Something big has to happen for it to really, like, I think there's things just under the surface that would bubble up if a big event happened of some kind. And then those people that are sort of just have had all this sort of the good guy programming has been settling into everybody, and I feel like that really needs to be ignited, and I think an event would have to happen. So something like an EBS, something like the military stepping up, something like that's got to happen.
Do you know, you just summed it up here. I am just going to say, whilst we're recording, that both our internets are playing up a bit today. So when you're hearing funny Dalek noises, we haven't been taken over, it's the internet. But Janine, you've just summed up exactly what it's sort of like over here. It's sort of, well, touch wood, we're not in as bad a situation over there in terms of restrictions here. We are in some places in the UK, but not here at all. But there's just complete sort of radio silence. But there's a few things coming out in the news, which I was delighted to see. So in our usual new YouTube language with codes and sign language and all sorts of Italian expressions, the first one that I've seen on MSM tonight is that the National Health Service, so in the UK, we have got something called the Oxford Centre for Disease-Based Medicine, and they have been looking at the rates of people keeling over and not getting back up again, as in, they've been looking at the rates for the last 4 months in the UK, and the rates are way higher. We're talking nearly 21,000 more than normal than the 5-year average. Now, we all know last year the levels were the same or lower than the 5-year average. So there's a huge spike over the last 4 months, surprise, surprise. So they're asking for an official inquiry. Now, at the moment, the thoughts are that it's because people haven't been getting the treatment that they deserve, which is definitely probably a contributing factor. But they're specifically saying that it's not due to the thing that we have to wear these two to stop us getting. So they're not mentioning this, but in the same report, it says they have noticed a huge increase in heart failure, circulation issues, and diabetes. So this is the first time I've seen anything like this in mainstream media, and coming from some really significant bodies in the UK. So can we ask the cards, what have they got to say about this? Is this going to start making some significant changes?
Well, the Wheel of Fortune popped as I was shuffling, and that's about a complete 180 on things, right? Something's one way. You know, see, if you look at this card, okay, so we've got that demonic sort of energy there. And this one feels like it's riding this wave. Oh, that's when things are good, but then they get really bad. So this guy gets on top because the wheel's constantly changing. It's like karma. Okay, so karma is coming for these guys, and we're coming back on top again. There's always a counter action to every action. And this action's been going on for a really long time. And in particular in the world, the literal takedown of the human race, as it were, that was planned many, many years in the making, and it's so much so obvious and so much proof around that. There's no way it can stay. It's the whole thing is just crumbling. The whole narrative is crumbling. So it feels like with that card alone, that sort of tells us something. But how did you want to exactly say that question?
So shall we ask the question, is it going to come out that this is something to do with this?
Got it. So far, they're desperately trying to not let that come out. See how this guy's holding on to everything, holding on for dear life. But lots of people in the background are working diligently on letting it come out. So there's a really strong energy in the background. We know what that is, who that is. It's not only channels like this one, but it's also like in all the back channels telling the truth, but it's also White Hat Alliance.
Yeah.
Right. So this is in the past. So that's an agenda might have been really set. They've mostly been focused lately on taking people to justice. So I believe they've been rounding up big dragnet operation all through October. Yeah, in particular, the last few days in October and early into November, apparently that was literally like a dragnet operation. So we don't have too much longer because we've got this 5. So we're busy focused on everything that's going wrong, but we need to look at these cups are still full back here. There's all kinds of things going on. In fact, I was just hearing today that there's some kind of pill developed, okay, that's probably a combination of some things we already know work for this whole thing, that's going to make this thing absolutely like useless because it's already proven itself to be in fact dangerous. But it's going to actually put that right to the side. And in the first place they're rolling it out, by the way, and I think that's a white hat op, the first place they're rolling it out is the UK. Isn't that
I'm going to ask a detailed question on that. That's next on my list because it's
good.
Yeah, that is next on my list. Yeah.
Don't forget, we've got wise soul spirit energy working on our behalf, and also maybe some off-world wisdom working on our behalf. So it's not like there's always like how many times we've come to the brink of extinction as a human race. We're not doing that. Like it's not. There's no reason for that. That might be the agenda of the bad guys, but it's not going to work. Hello. Yep. Absolutely. We're so close to having that breakthrough, that information, that it's the real thing going on. We're like 80% to that coming out, that the real things, that's what's really causing the issues.
That's amazing, because also today, the same day that was released in the news, one of my really good friends, hi Susie, she's got a young child who's at school, and their school have been sending out letters asking parents to look out for signs of diabetes in children. And we all know now that children are getting this. And it's ridiculous because, linked to what they're seeing, a lot of these excess on. So that it's just unbelievable. The propaganda, the panic they're putting out is so ludicrous now. So that's really good, everyone.
What on earth are they blaming that on? Okay, so
exactly.
All of a sudden there's heart attacks for little children. Like what?
Yeah.
Okay, it can only be one thing. And then now all of a sudden just widespread diabetes. Okay, what's that all about?
Well, though, of course, and this all links into all my questions for tonight, but a lot of them are saying, I've also seen news reports from mainstream media saying that there's going to be more babies born with heart defects because of global warming. What the hell? How is global warming calling? So they're getting desperate now, and surely even people that are more young souls, as I like to call them, and don't see the evil will start to sort of see it. So should we ask a detailed question then about the new pill? Because I know that you've covered some of this before and everything, but the thing that is a big question in my mind is this pill is being marketed by some of the same pharmaceutical companies that have been issuing this, which would mean I can't see myself ever wanting to take something that they've produced. So can we ask them about this pill? About, first of all, is it definitely a white hat? And then I've got a follow-up question.
Yeah, it's a white hat.
Right.
It's to your advantage, and it's coming from people that mean good. Okay, there might be new, lesser known companies making it. I don't think our big ones that made the, you know what, are going to be in on this, or were even asked to be in on it. It's been developed already, so it's been around for at least 4 months. Is it widely known? Not yet. Not yet, but it's coming. So yeah, it was done for good though. It was done for good.
Okay, I'm just Googling, I'm not Googling, DuckDuckGoing, because I'm pretty sure it's one of the big pharma companies that are pushing the UK one. Yes, yes, it is. So the same Pfizer, who are the main ones doing this, are the main ones pushing. So does that mean that they have now been taken over by the good guys?
Let's have a look. Or does that mean that one's not good?
Yes.
Remember,
that's a good question. That is a very good question.
Yeah, I looked at that one before and I got it was a trick.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But let's see. Yeah, wait. That's not the one, you guys. Don't do the big pharma one. Yeah, wait. No, this one was developed by the good guys.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, not that one. So
not that one.
That one's fooling you. Okay, so that one's a trick.
Yeah.
So they're just going to ride the coattails, try to make even more money off humans.
Yeah. So that makes perfect sense then, that the one that you're talking about by these new companies that we general public won't have heard of is the one that's doing the good one. So whilst we're on this theme, because I think this is so important for people at the moment, let's finish off this theme that we're on at the moment. So can we ask whether the new one by the new companies is going to have healing benefits for people that have already taken this?
So the good news about people that have taken that thing is part of what they have working on them is the thing doesn't stay volatile for that long. They have about 7 months, and if they wisely don't take any more or boosters or do anything extra, okay, so if they stuck with the one and then wised up, or they went ahead and did the two, I think that if you didn't get a saline thing or a placebo or whatever, the second one or the first one, you know what I mean? So your chances get smaller and smaller of not having issues the more you do that. Okay, so obviously you stop doing that as soon as you hear anything like this. Okay, but I feel like then there's also a shelf life to the danger of it, which is good. So because so many people are like, but I wouldn't say it's not harmful, because there's a whole lot of people having bad, harmful experiences with it. So there's some people saying it's not harmful. Well, I don't agree with that, but I do agree that there's counteractions happening. And everybody's like coming down sometimes on the Alliance and the White Hats. Why'd they let this happen? Well, they couldn't stop this is a war. They couldn't stop every single action. These things have been planned for thousands of years, but probably at least 100, it looks like, for this thing. Okay, we can go back even in the 30s and 40s. There's weird little video clips of people talking about weird stuff that is now happening. And really early Olympics, like I even saw one as early as, I think it was in the 30s or 40s. Was there Olympics in the 30s and 40s? I can't read, but it was really early Olympics. Sort of opening shows actually had things referring to what's happening now.
Wow.
Somebody sent it to me. I can't remember the date. I thought it was 37 or something, 19, but I could be wrong about the date. But look back on these Olympics, suspicious Olympics. I'd go to DuckDuckGo and say, Olympic opening ceremony signaling or something.
Yeah.
There's something like you'll find it goes way back. It's not just the 2012 one that was really obvious too, but they've been like spell casting this for a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think things are gonna play this, and that's how they're dealing with it. And some of it they even had step back. We know that Mr. T went to a bunch of big pharmaceutical companies. I can't remember which ones, and had little chats. Who knows what kind of information they brought, and maybe, threatened them tribunals and etc. And so a lot of it got stepped back at that point. Okay, but not all of it. And there's booby trap batches.
Yeah. Okay. So final one on this theme, and then we'll move on, folks. But it's the one I wanted to ask these because it's the one I'm just getting so many people, for obvious reasons, still asking about. So there's been a lot of publicity in mainstream media as well now as the alternative channels about all the poor, very high profile athletes across the globe that have been collapsing, and some of them not making a recovery. Now, I'm really confused by this in terms of, because it would almost seem like that group have almost been targeted. So can we ask the cards whether these high profile sports people have been targeted with batches, or is some of this part of a show to wake people up?
No, I'm getting it was when, what batches they got and when. So we know that they wanted to travel, keep traveling, especially athletes that travel all over the world for their sport and participate in, activities all over the world with their sport. So it has something to do with what batches they got, and because they were the really early ones, it looks like, I think are the worst actually.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this did get stepped back by the alliance. So a lot of that is just coming to fruition now through these issues. So like months down the road, their bodies broken down with what's going on internally, and they don't even know it.
No,
these things happen. So it's a long, slow process that's just coming to fruition. Especially if they got two of them early on and they were both batches or whatever. So I think not seeing trickery here or purposely targeted, or even like that they're faking all of this. I don't get that either. I think they're really vulnerable because of how soon they got it and the batches they got.
Yeah. And of course, because they're putting their bodies, because they're such high performance, they'll be putting under their bodies of a lot more strain than a normal person would be. That's for sure. So, okay. Wow. Oh, we send lots of prayers to any of them that have got that, because it's horrible to see people like that being affected. It's horrible to see anyone being affected. So I've had obviously a lot of questions from people in Austria.
Yeah.
Because they are targeting locking down just the non-things. So a lot of other countries are going into lockdown. Now, what I can't work out, Janine, because obviously it sounds pretty bad where you are as well, in terms of, there's obviously a lot of places where they are doing this now and they're really implementing, and we're only hearing about a few. So we're hearing a lot about Austria, but we're not hearing any publicity about Canada over here. So can we ask why we're hearing, why the general public are hearing so much about Austria? What's happening with Austria to mean that they're really making this very visible?
Okay, so Austria is part of the movie. They're using it to their advantage somehow to wake people up. So they target these different places. Australia, definitely. But look what's happening in Australia. It's unbelievable. They're serving all of their governments. I just watched a video where booklet this big by the people and instigated by that Ricardo Boisi. Wow. Man, that guy's my hero.
He's amazing.
Yeah. So he gave notice to all of the upper echelon, draconian leader tyranny kind of tyrant types. He said, come on to the good side. You better hurry up because you got till the 31st of October, or we got all these actions. So one of the actions is, and it's largely fueled by just the populace. And so they're taking matters into their own hands, which we all have to learn to do. And they're standing up and recognizing that there's only a few of those guys and there's billions of them, and they go serve them. And then they have a bunch of other actions that come after the serving. So they served everybody in that Dan guy, and we won't say his last name, who's infamous right now as, and apparently, according to one YouTuber who got up real close to him, says he's not human.
Yes, I saw that.
And was very convincing about that. And I believed it 100%. The guy's not human. So it's part of the movie, though. I'm going to tell you by the looks of the cards here, that's all part of the movie. So is Austria.
Yeah.
So that's just a wake up. And then they're going to highlight it because they're trying to wake people up. So they put spotlights in these various areas. For a while, Canada was spotlit.
Yeah. Yes, it was, wasn't it? I mean, we had loads of publicity about Canada early on, and then for the rest of the world, we don't seem to be hearing anything about Canada at the moment at all. And we're certainly not hearing anything about your Mr. T at all.
Oh, yeah.
Which is nice. We don't want to hear, we don't even want to have any attention on that creature.
Other than all kinds of dirt coming out on him like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Like it's a miracle. There must be a big movie going on for him not to have been publicly arrested, like just literally, just naturally, just because of all the stuff coming out about him. So something weird's going on for these people, all this stuff coming out on these people, and they're not publicly being walked off their little stage. So it's got to be part of the movie. You got to use your common sense right now. There's things going on that don't make any sense. It's part of the movie.
Yeah. Absolutely. So hold fire, people. I know it's been a long, hard slog. I know it's cold over here and over where you are, but wrap up, get those fires going, and just don't give in. Talking of lockups, now I'm not sure whether you've covered this in one of your videos this week, but our lovely Klaus Schwab, have you covered about where you've done that? Have you?
Well, I didn't cover it because it's so hard to talk about these things in depth, but Jean-Claude and I mentioned it a couple times.
Yeah.
In a drive-in chat, I mentioned it, but if I go into it too big on Tarot by Janine, it's hard even to get the videos up. It's really weird. Anything really current. And I don't know if they're just doing that to me because
I've noticed I'm having to, so apologies for anyone watching my videos, because people, quite rightly expect me to put really good titles about what we're discussing, but I can't because if I put that in the title or even in the description below the video, then I won't let me upload the video. So I have to put very generic titles in. And we can't actually tell you guys in the titles what we're going to be covering because it just will not get loaded.
Oh yeah, same here. So Guy's been like, we've been like vanillaing everything. It's devastating to have to do that because
they've changed something on YouTube. Now, Guy would know better than this because I'm not good, but this I think has got something to do with the bots watching us, because the videos I put up this week, I haven't changed any settings. And they've all got the subtitles on. Now, I don't know how to do that, even if I try. And none of my videos have ever had it before. But what's really frightening is, if you do a voice dictation or something, it always messes up some of the words. Well, this is, even with all the different accents on the video from people from different countries and things like that, the translation is so accurate that they're picking up all the right words, which when I go into my WhatsApp and things like that, they don't at all. So they have been really fine-tuning, screening the videos. And so somehow all these brilliant subtitles are coming up that are worryingly accurate. Because sometimes I'd rather those words weren't on the screen, and I haven't changed anything in the settings to put those on.
Yeah. Wow.
Just shows what they're capable of doing now. It shows how much they've refined their searching technologies. So,
Well, but weirdly, a lot of people think they've been taken over by the good guys.
Yes.
And we haven't let everybody in on it yet because Charlie Ward and Simon Parks are back.
Yeah.
And a couple of weird things are happening. So why don't we do a reading on
Let's do a reading on that. That's really good. Yeah.
Maybe they're just still trying to wake people up with the censorship, but
Yeah.
slash, because that does look really bad on them.
Yeah.
Well, let's just have a look. Because honestly, I just watched a video. Darn if I can remember. I shared it on my Twitter. So if anybody wants to go to Twitter and have a look, one of the last couple that I shared was a guy. He's from Vancouver. I think his name's Dan, but I can't remember. Anyway, first time I ever watched him, and awesomely, he shouted me out as a good channel to watch. But I agreed with 100% of what that guy said. And he went above and beyond describing the situation with no code words. And he's up on YouTube, and it's been up there since the 9th. So I'm like, okay, are they just, and he's monetized. So it's like, how did his video stay up? Exactly. So maybe they're just targeting certain ones to get everybody's eyebrows raised. And and then they're letting other things go. Like, it's very strange. So let's have a look.
Let's have a look at YouTube. And whilst Janine's shuffling, I'm going to draw all your attention to your nails are just absolutely stunning. Look at mine. I've got worker woman's hands. These are what horsey women's hands look like. They're beautiful. Oh my goodness.
But you get the pleasure of having horses.
I do, and it's worth it. But I will never show my hands on screen for that reason. It would not be nice.
Well, people stare at my hand. No, my hands are really big and they're really strong. Like, I did bead work and leather work for years and years, like many, many years. And I can push I don't do it anymore, but through 3 thicknesses of leather, I could push.
That takes some doing, because I've had to mend some tack in my time, and that really takes some doing. Wow.
For years, that was a whole nother lifetime ago, it seems now, but I used to do really traditional beadwork, moccasins, mucklucks. I even had a pair of my wraparound high top moccasins go around all over Canada for 3 to 6 months. I can't remember how long it was, in a show of traditional native wear.
Wow, amazing.
I'm only a quarter, but yeah, I was so proud of that. Oh my goodness. Because it looked so like I did it with everything authentic, even using sinew and everything.
Wow.
Okay, so what do we got here? We've got 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, yeah, they took it over. That's a good guy op. So already changed by the good guys. And there's some kind of off-world technology being put in place, which might be why you're experiencing the subtitles being so incredibly accurate, right? So there's something, they're not ready to tell everybody yet. So they're continuing some of the ways YouTube would normally work. So slowly we'll get introduced that the bad guys are down there. It's not operated by them.
Brilliant.
That is brilliant. It's going to rebirth itself and that's what I always got about it. I'm glad I stayed on there, and I hope you do too, because we needed to hold our ground and not get chased off things. People find it easy to access. It's easy to upload.
Yeah.
Great format, only the censorship was murdering it, or I shouldn't say that word, but anyway, hurting it.
Yeah.
So I believe it's going to rebirth itself as actually a usable system again.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I lost one channel, and it didn't matter too much, but had all years of my animal videos on there, a lot of the animal training ones that I didn't have any backup. So there's always a lesson in everything, folks. Back your stuff up. I've learned that the hard way. That's so exciting. That's really great. Now, I know there's quite a few UK things today, but this is representative of what's happening around the world. So we've got some really weird Christmas adverts coming out from our big stores, mainly food supermarkets and general supermarkets. So the latest one from one of our biggest food stores, Tesco's, which is really, really huge. I think that's global, isn't it? Tesco's. People have those elsewhere, I think, as well. It's horrendous. It's all about passport. Santa can only get in with a passport, and then halfway through the Christmas dinner, the lights go out, saying about power cuts. And then one of the other stores has got a boy dressed in a girl's suit covered in smeared makeup in a girl's outfit, and one of the others, what did they say, has got something really weird going on. So what is going on with all these Christmas adverts from all our big shops? Is it something to do, again, is this white hat? Is it a final ploy to desperately try and wake people up, or what?
Well, that first one you mentioned with outages right in the
Yeah.
video or whatever, and the passports and all that, that sounds like programming. Like it could have been made last
Yeah.
year and ready for, because by now they would have thought they had a bunch of things planned. And I know some of it we will have issues, but
Yeah.
there's counter actions going on the whole time. And we're going to counteract. It's not going to be, you know, the doom and gloomers. And I respect some people. Like there's a guy named Cliff, and I won't say his last name,
Yeah.
because when you say his first and last name, you get, I believe it or not, that's a bit, so it, you know, if they're still going to censorship, they are going to censor a video with his name in it. Isn't that interesting? Guy figured that out. But anyway, so I get he's intellectually, the guy's a genius, and he's bringing really good stuff, but he's also missing a big chunk. And the part he's missing is the faith in the universe to step it back. There's always a counteraction to every action. This is what this guy from Vancouver was saying that I'm just talking. I wish I'll have to send you later after this video, because honestly, I just can't come up with the guy's name. But he was brilliant, and I was so impressed with what he was saying, and it made so much sense. It's exactly what I've known in my heart. There's always, we're not going to be wiped out as a race. That's not going to happen. It's not going to be 15 years to repair. There's things going on that are going to help. It won't be an overnight fix, and there's going to be issues, absolutely, but there's going to be a whole lot of good also. In the sweeping into the world, and with that energy lifted, the repression of the slavery we've been under, whatever, that's going to really feel good. And you know, even if you have to rebuild, at least you're a free people's rebuilding. That'll be brilliant, right? So if you look at it that way, you can change everything. Like it's like you can't just doom and gloom and worst case scenario, forget all about the spiritual. The spirit world has a play here. And it's like they're not going to let the human race, which is precious. We're not going to create that. Okay. We're creating all of this. So why would we create our demise? That doesn't make any sense, but we're creating a really tough lesson. We've created it over millennium. We have this lesson to learn. So if we look at it properly, we can get through this and way quicker than those doom and gloomers are saying, even if I respect their intellect. I don't respect the doom and gloom aspect of, you know.
Do you think, Janine, perhaps we could ask the cards, or I'll just ask you, whichever you prefer. Do you think there's a really good purpose for that, though? Because you know how they say when you want to manifest things in your life, sometimes you have to know what you don't want so that it really focuses your attention on what you do want. So I think some of the gloom and doomer ones have been brilliant at then getting a lot of people to vocalize and focus their energy on no way, Jose.
That could be, but they say the universe only listens to what you're putting out. So if you're saying, I don't want this, but you're focusing on it, that's a good idea. Talk about how you visualize it to be as if it already is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Positive, as if it is. Like be delusional, like literally, because everything's a delusion. The whole world's a delusion. Have we noticed? It's all an illusion anyway. So let's stop focusing on the bad illusion and focus on the good one. Both scenarios are future visions. So none of them are based in truth or reality yet, but we can create them. So why not create what you want instead of what you don't want? It makes total sense. So I think using language of, okay, I don't want this. I don't think that's a good idea, right?
Could we ask the cards then? Because you've just really hit home on something really important. So as a human race, and I know this does vary, of course, between individuals, between nations, between cultures, but a lot as a human race, we can verbalize a lot of negative things. So we know they've been doing that in the news, and they know they're doing. And if you, you know, like the gossip, a lot of people, when they meet up with people, they talk about all these awful things and all these dramas and what's gone wrong. Do we think this is, can we ask the cards, is that one of the major lessons of this whole experience, is to get people to start talking positively?
I think so.
Mm.
So we've got the Lovers. Okay, so the first layout I did was about those commercials. So
Yes.
people might get grumpy at us if we don't go back and look at that.
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
They'll remember we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get some of the commercials have been taken over and are good guys. Some of them are bad guy. So you're like, you'll probably just be able to use your intuition on which are which, right?
Yeah.
If, because I've even seen one commercial that's making a joke out of everything and just laughing at people wearing these things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's interesting. And that's a big company in the US that made a commercial about that. It was really poking fun at the whole agendas. Okay, so here we've got the Hanged Man and the, so I feel like, yeah, it's half and half here. But about that other thing that you just asked, how did you put it again?
Is one of the major lessons for humanity to sort of change our behavior and really talk about what we do want and what we're enjoying and loving about life, rather than, you know, so in the present moments, what am I really loving at the moment, not focusing on the negative.
So I get staying there and creating yourself as a victim in it wouldn't be cool, but sometimes this is a healing card talking about what's wrong, because we can't blase over there are evil in the world, and there is people working literally on our demise, and people being okay with it. People in the medical system, in our schools, we have to keep a really sharp eye on, so we can't avoid discussions about that. Okay, but then but you got to maybe move the conversation into, and don't forget to add. Okay, because it's important to acknowledge what's been going on and everybody be real about it. Okay, that's great, important. But then you got to move it over to, but what are we learning from it, and take a new approach to how, like, move it into new territory after that. Don't just stay here and stab yourself with those swords over and over again, and then stay in that frequency. You got to move out of the frequency.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
There's lots of good things coming, aren't there? There are lots of good things coming.
Yeah.
There's been, okay, I'm going to ask this question because this poor lady's asked this 3 weeks in a row and I haven't answered it yet. Iceland. In Iceland, there's a lot of compliance and not a lot of sort of pushback. This lady would like to know, is there something positive coming soon for the people in Iceland?
So on the surface, it does look like there's compliance, but I feel like underneath there's a lot of people in conflict.
Right.
Okay, so their programming starting to glitch. Their programming, they're starting to heal because there's all this other stuff been going on that's counteracting that program. That's what those white hats have been doing. They've been literally counteracting. Could listen to that guy for more than 3 seconds.
No,
it was so dreary and such a bit a malarkey.
yeah.
Like, you'd have to be, honestly, and I hate to say it, but you'd have to be so programmed to be okay with what he said. You are not listening and your ears aren't open, but your soul's hearing it. And there's a lot of disappointment because none of it makes any sense what they're saying. None of it. No, there's no science to it. There's never been. And it's not about your health. And everybody knows that already on some level, but they're still buying into it because the idea that their entire world will have to flip and change. And maybe they haven't got the news that these people are demonic. Maybe that's that's a big chunk we're missing. Regular folks are missing. We're not missing it, but regular folk. So they don't understand. Well, like my sister would say, well, why on earth would they do that? Right? They have families too, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't know anything about or won't listen to any of the news about the compromised politicians, all the goods they got on these creeps, the videos, you know, it compromises them and all the stuff they got on them and how they sold out. And certainly if they're in certain secret groups at certain levels, okay, they've already bought into the whole agenda anyway. They're part of it. Okay, so that all this stuff filtering down for various reasons, what they got on these people. So people don't know that generally. And that's the part needs to come out real soon. Like today, like, you know, bring it on.
Yeah, because people, as you say, that's the biggest question that I get is, well, don't be silly. No one would do that. And you're thinking, but you're doing it from your consciousness and they're on a completely different consciousness. So you can't, well, you don't even want to go into the mind of a psychopath. That's not somewhere most normal people want to go. So, wow. Okay. Now there's, again, this is something I don't feel so comfortable talking about, but again, I'm going to ask because it's not all about me, despite what I might think. But okay, I'm going to call them little particles that are in this. There's a lot of people saying, obviously, that they can be tuned into healing frequencies, as opposed to some recent events where they've been tuned into destructive frequencies.
Got it.
And that, you know, this whole thing that they can be putting people in, that are things into people that can be used for good or bad. Now, the reason I don't feel comfortable talking about it is you could say that about anything. I mean, everything can be used for good or bad, but I don't fancy putting my chances in the hands of someone that could use it for bad. But is there going to be something that comes out soon? Because going back to the first question I asked about this amazing thing that was on the mainstream news about the excess in being reported in the UK, I do not believe that they're going to say something that is going to make a vast majority of the population drop dead with fright, because that won't achieve anything. So I would imagine they're going to have to put out some good positive news with it, in terms of this is what we're going to do to make everything all right for you. So could we ask the cards, is this going to be one of the strategies where when they disclose stuff, it's going to be, but don't worry because you'll be all right because we're going to do this?
That was the first card I pulled when you first asked. So that's a yes. And it'll be able to step back some of the dysfunction and but it doesn't completely miraculously hit. I think there's going to be things you have to go through doing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Also, you'll be feeling the disappointment that, okay, you were just used as a guinea pig, not to mention, and that was fairly widely known in the whole thing anyway. So, you know, a level of feeling foolish might be a good wake-up call for some people, so they in future lifetimes kind of try to remember that. Like there's something like this will stick with you. Say you lose a family member and you encourage that person, they ended up with a bad batch and they go shortly after or something, and if eventually things are going to get linked to that thing. Okay, and then people that have been encouraging it, talking about it, telling everybody, like my dad it was encouraging it to my son and I stopped him. Okay, I said, we're not talking about that. Okay, and I love my dad, but it's like right that minute he was my enemy.
Yeah,
you're my enemy right now. So I you know, and I'm kind of an interesting person because I don't care who you are. If you're messing with my kid or kids, either of my children or children, you know what I mean? You're my enemy. I don't care who dad you are. I love my dad, so don't get me wrong, but his foolishness, if people would like it, like down the road, he's gonna be feeling pretty. A lot of
Yeah.
people are, when they find out the real truth here, they're gonna feel really bad. But anyway, so it does step it back to some degree, it looks like, but it's gonna take time and there's gonna need other healing things. So
Yeah.
it's not just a big miracle step back.
That's good, because it would give people a breathing space to not panic and then choose to make some changes. So that's
And have to jump some hoops
yeah.
to undo the damage they did, so they learn that you can't take chances with your health when there's all kinds of really good people out there telling you how dangerous something is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I've been known to be right psychically in my family about so many things, and nobody listens to a single word I say about this whole situation. So how am I all of a sudden don't have a clue what I'm talking about?
I know, it's so funny. It's like me. I've got some really, really, really lovely friends. And if there's something wrong with one of their children or their animals, they really want to come to me for some advice. But with this, it's like a comedy show, because if we've got a little WhatsApp group of us, and if there's a lovely conversation going, and then I put something in there and it's complete radio silence, just like absolutely hysterical. And I'm just at a stage now where I can laugh at it and sort of take it, but trust me, it took me a long while to get to that stage.
Yeah,
So
me too.
yeah, but hey ho, that's the advantage of me getting older. So right, okay, I think I've done that one. Oh, we're still seeing the weather changes globally being pushed as a big agenda, particularly with the conference that was in Glasgow very recently with all the world leaders.
Yeah.
So the thing when you're talking about the climate and then things changing with that. So we're still seeing that as a huge agenda. And, you know, a lot of very genuine people are, you know, absolutely traumatized by this and the fact that we're not going to have a planet soon. So are we going to see something within the next 3 months come out about that is all part of this bigger plot as well? Are we going to get some disclosure about that?
Yeah, they're working on it. That's going to go down with the other agendas. Okay, because obviously the next big push and agenda. Okay, but I don't even think they're getting off the ground with that. And some off-world wisdom is going to be helpful there. And I have no idea what I'm talking about. Earth, off-world, wise, ancient soul, to do with the earth. So something's going to get revealed from a deep source of wisdom. So that those two together almost look like spirit world's going to reveal that. You know, because if you're really looking into it, you'll know that we're actually going into a mini ice age.
Yeah.
That's really what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So maybe some of that truth comes out.
Yeah.
But truth's coming out.
Because it's something I'm trying to look into a lot more, but it's virtually impossible to find any balanced stuff. So if anyone's got any, feel free to send me some.
They literally just wipe it off.
Just wipe it.
Yeah, they've been doing the same thing with that they're clearly doing with the whole agenda of why the lockdowns happened. Okay, all of that's just a big media wipeout. Okay, but look at this here. This is what I pulled on. What's actually happening? Like, is there any truth to the climate? And then that other word. Okay, no, it is all made up. Okay, it's not even remote. It's probably the exact opposite of what they're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we're doing good for the planet. I'm not, but some people are actually. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying what they're saying is complete magicianry.
I think that's a really important point you said, because we're not saying, or you and I aren't saying that humans haven't got to make better choices. So I was talking to some of my friends and we were saying about, you know, this awful disposable society where everything and the level of waste. That's not what we're talking about. That's different. That's making sensible lifestyle changes and considering everything around you on the planet and all species. But we're talking about their main agenda and what they're saying with that. Okay, brilliant. So to finish off, is there anything else that the cards would like everyone to know this week?